Hi there, Robin here from Expert On. Today in this video we're going to be talking about marine audio subwoofers. We've got a pair set up in this board and a pair set up in that board there. Now these ones happen to be 12-inch and they're from Pyle and they're hooked up through this amplifier. It's a 4-channel amp. We're using this amp to bridge off into these two actual subwoofers and allowing 2 channels to run some more speakers. These are the 12s. Over here these are 10-inch. Now, these ones happen to be running off of a Clarion XC1120, and it's a dedicated amplifier just for subwoofers. So it's running straight off of the head unit up on top, coming down here, running these two 10s. They do an incredible job. They're free air subs, which is the big important thing here. It means it's really easy to install in a boat. We're not looking to make these crazy car audio stuff, which is absolutely awesome. We're looking to add a bass to our boat. And we want to do it easily with as little aggravation as possible. We don't want to be building custom boxes all the time. So that's the big difference. Now, as you notice, I have a green panel here and a white panel here. This is to help represent the benches in your boat, let's say. That divide where you have extra supplies in the boat, but you do have room access in the front to put in subwoofers. Depending on how much height you have and how convenient it is, you can put 12s. Most popular is 10-inch because of the size. I do recommend you try and get 2 in there at least, in the sense that a boat is open, so you're not in an enclosed space like a car, so you definitely need to offset with some volume and size. So either 2 of them or 112 will get the job done for most folks. Remember, this product also comes in an 8-inch. So what we'll do now is we'll bring it off to the table. We'll take a closer look at what makes a marine subwoofer a marine subwoofer. All right, so we've got the boxes here. So let's have a little unboxing event here because this is dramatic. And unboxed. There we go. Okay, so 10-inch sub. 12-inch sub. My apologies, I don't have the 8-inch sub here in the showroom today, but this is what we're going to be talking about. They come in boxes, and when you take them out of boxes, they become subwoofers out of the box. That's pretty much the way this goes. So there's 2 types of subwoofers out there when it comes to boats or cars, anything like that. There's free air, and then there's sealed, or something hybrid in between. The idea is that one requires a specific type of box to give it the best sound performance. I call it the magic recipe: box, speaker, and amplifier. A free air sub doesn't have the performance that a sealed sub could, but a lot easier to install. You go from having something like this, not anything installed rather quickly because of the design of the product. It's designed to sound really good in pretty much any size box as long as it's, something that has some sort of form of enclosure. Now, of course, there's always the best dimensions, the cubic feet and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, this is going to go into your boat. If you're having an installer doing this, you're probably not watching this video, and you're probably going to spend $400 or $500 a piece on these things. This realistically is, I'm going to spend anywhere between $300 and $750 on putting a system in the boat. So instead of spending all your money on one piece, you're going to scatter your money amongst a bunch of good pieces, and then you'll have something that works out really, really well. When you buy these, what's important to note is sometimes the gasket is pre-installed and sometimes it's not. Couldn't tell you rhyme or reason for that. Maybe it's like there was no supervisor in the factory sometimes, and sometimes they decide to put it on, sometimes they don't. But it doesn't matter what size it is. Sometimes I see them in place, sometimes I don't, but that's okay. So that set aside, what makes this a marine? Well, first of all, it's mostly all plastic, which is kind of cool in that sense. And there's a mineral oil spirits sprayed on the actual membrane down inside here, which is what normally stops the dust. It allows everything to move properly, but by putting a mineral spirits on there, it stops the actual water from getting inside all the parts and rusting it from the inside out. So that's what's going on there. Again, all the plastic, and when we take the cover off, what normally I wouldn't want in my subwoofer at home is very important to have on a subwoofer in a boat, and that is polypropylene. So that's a plastic form, instead of cardboard with a protective coating on it. This is going to make it much stronger. Don't power wash this, by the way, because you'll just blow it out. We have customers every year come into the showroom buying new subs and speakers. First thing they do in the spring is cut open the boat, get it all ready, start power washing it all down so they get everything nice and white again, and next thing you know, they're coming in to buy speakers because they power washed their speakers. Also, instead of having on the outside, instead of having a spongy type of foam here as the reflection piece, these tend to be made out of rubber. Now, rubber's not as flexible as a sponge, of course, but it doesn't act like, well, a sponge. So it's not going to soak up all the water if it gets water splashed on it. So that's a big, big plus. Now, that being said, I think anything in around $100 US price range or less is pretty much going to get you right back down to this sub with a different name on it. Companies are going to say, oh, no, my sub's better, or this, that, or the other thing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you're probably buying this subwoofer here. Why is Pyle so much cheaper than everybody else? And it's still a brand name. I don't care what you say about it. It's a brand name. It's not no name brand. It's Pyle. The trick is in the fact that they have no MAP. Now, that's a technical term in the industry for minimum advertised price. That's when a manufacturer is trying to divert and say, well, no, it's not a minimum sell price. It's a minimum advertised price. That tells everybody who has a product out there, you can't advertise my piece for any less than, and I'll make up a number, $99.99. So no less than $99.99. If you advertise it for less, you can't sell it anymore. We won't let you have it anymore. Not saying you can't sell it for less, you can't advertise it for less. So whenever you go shopping online, of course, everybody's advertising the lowest price possible, which is the minimum advertised price. There you go. Now, Pyle figures, we're not going to have a minimum advertised price. You buy it, you sell it for whatever you want. And of course, you get the price trendsetters. So that would be the Amazons of the world. And they basically just sell it for whatever they want. They don't even care. If they're not selling enough of them, they'll sell them for below cost. They just want to move the boxes, which is okay because you, the consumer, win when it comes to buying their products. So I thought I'd enlighten you a little bit about price. Because in the real world, in the US, this would probably be a $59, $69, $79 product, depending on the size you buy. But because there's no MAP, minimum advertised price, this turns into half price all the time. So there you go with that. Now back to the product. The cover has its name, Hydra series, and Pyle's name up on top here, sorry. And there's two notches on the cover, one on the bottom, one on the top, that sort of thing. And on the speaker itself, there are notches. Okay, so regardless if you're going to put it upside down or right side up when you install it, you do want to make sure those notches are lined up perfectly straight, because when you do put this cover on, that's why the notches are there. They're to tell you that you've locked it in place. If you're off, well, your cover is going to be off and it's going to look a little weird. So that's what's going on there. Also, make sure to use the foam. It stops down vibration, but also it helps get the gapping just right. There are no screws included, so you are going to want to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy yourself some zinc screws. Don't just use some regular screws because they're going to rust. Zinc screws, you can get them in a little package or you can buy them bulk. Usually number 8's 1 1/4 inch, I guess, would probably do the job. And that's going to get you. Now for the wires to not fall out, they give you screw down terminals on the back, positive, negative. So voila, that's a good thing. Outside of that, they got just the right amount of weight. Not too heavy, not too light. And I do have a measuring tape here, so you have an idea. Now remember, I think about this in the benches in the boat as being a really good place. It's about 4.5 inches from the back of the speaker to the bottom. It's about 4.5 inches. That's how much space you're going to need inside. Those are always great places to put them. There's no bad place. There's just better places, you know. So you want to have it so this way the sound fills the boat and doesn't get stuck in between two benches or something like that. So that's what's going on there. Overall cut size, the 10-inch, you need to have clearance for 11 inches across the top. That's on the boat side. On the inside, you know, you probably, well, you want to make sure the inside you have roughly the same, so this, when you do your cutout, everything looks nice. And that's about it. 12-inch. If I'm talking to folks about boats and putting subwoofers, it's probably easier to get 2 10s in than to get 1 12. I have customers who like going whole hog here, and they'll get themselves 2 12s, or they'll even get themselves 3 8s. Now remember, on an amplifier, you want to make sure it's bridgeable. If your head unit doesn't have a subwoofer out that has the actual crossover built into the radio. So 12-inch looks pretty much identical to the 10-inch. And that's about it. 500 watts. So they're probably, peak power, so it's probably a 250 watt RMS continuous on this guy here. They don't, of course, get into those kind of things. But if you're buying one of Pyle's amplifiers, make sure you just get one with a built-in crossover. Any of their amps will handle this or this, no problem. So that's pretty much about it when it comes to subwoofers. It is better to buy a marine subwoofer than to buy a car audio subwoofer for all those little things I talked about at the beginning. But outside of that, that's pretty much it for subwoofers. If I'm going to spend $100 or less, probably going to be buying these guys. If you're not, you're just buying something else with a different name on it. Anyways, we'll see you on the next video, and I'm not sure what it is, so we'll find out when you hit the next button. Bye for now.